I'm Lawrence Francis, host of Interpreting Wine, welcoming you to a special episode recorded in June 2022 with Raphael Dayan, co-owner of Organski Podrum in Belgrade, Serbia. Organski Podrum is a natural wine temple designed to show the diversity and quality of mainly Serbian and some international natural wines. We hear Raphael's origin story and introduction into natural wine. He gives us a Belgrade cultural introduction before talking wine culture in the country, introducing us to the natural wine producers on their wine list, which features wines from Oskar Maurer, Sagmeister, Basha, Moritz, Vujic, Kostic, Todorovic and Bikicki, before getting into the glass and tasting wines from several of those producers. 3 local wines made from white grapes, including some with skin contact, and a comparison of 2 naturally made Prokupac, a local indigenous red grape variety, before Raphael shares where he would most like to see Serbian wines in the future. Enjoy!
Basically, I discovered the natural wine some 15 years ago, before a long time before coming to Serbia. I mean, basically when I was in Brussels, and I started drinking natural wine, I mean, on daily basis. I mean, it was my taste, my way of discovering wine. And so this time passed, I even opened a restaurant in Brussels where we offer to our guests only French natural wine. And this is how I discovered the natural wine world. I mean, the French one, meeting with the winemakers, tasting wine every week, different wine. We had something like 150 labels on the wine list in the restaurant, only natural. I mean, for all French region, but only French wines. And then this was an adventure for a few years. Then we stopped and do something else. And it happened then a few years later, in 2014, I moved from Belgium to Serbia. Not at all on the wine business, I mean, something completely different, I mean, working life. And we were hit here, like all the country, by the pandemic, and stuck in the country, nothing to do. In the meantime, I start also checking on the Serbian, wine market. Who was doing natural wine? To discover if there were natural wine, first of all, because this was completely unknown. And so I met first with the 2 oldest natural winemaker in Serbia, which is Ernest Sagmeister and Oskar Maurer. So we spend time together, and through them I also meet with other winemakers. And when I decided that to use my time to start with the wine bar and the wine shop in 2020, I called them and said, listen, I may have a project to create some kind of natural wine temple in Belgrade. And I will do it only if you agree, because I will only market your wines. And most of them, they were already exporting most of their production. There were no big sales on the Serbian market. It was more for, just to say we have it, but nobody was selling it, really. And so we opened in July 2020, and with the whole concept was to get those wines known in the country of production. So for the Serbian to discover that they don't have to buy Italian, Spanish, French, Austrian wine, but they have in their own country some gems which they ignored. So when we start, of course, we had mainly at the beginning foreigners living in Belgrade, but slowly Serbians start coming, and now it's majority of our guests are Serbians, even if we still have foreigners living in Belgrade, of course. And so from a small project of friends. I mean, we were 6 friends at the beginning. I brought friends with me, not to be alone. And 2 already left the adventure, but we are now 4. And I drink the wine, they drink the wine, so we have a good deal. But no, it's going very well. So, and then we also changed the place. I mean, we opened a very small shop at the beginning. I mean, it was just mainly for us. There were 12 seats, and we were 6. So with the wives, it was the 12 was full. We never believe. I mean, people will follow us. We said, the rent is cheap, so even if we don't have guests, at least we have the wine for us. And we were at the beginning our best guests, best customers. And but then this creates kind of buzz. I mean, we were and we are still until the 7th of July next week the only natural wine bar and shop in the whole Balkan. I mean, all Balkan, it means Croatia, Bosnia, Bulgaria and Romania. Only dedicate 100% to natural wine. I'm saying 7th of July because I have a friend opening on 7th of July in Zagreb now. Okay. So it will be the 2nd. But we were the first. So it grows. I mean, the more guests, more space. We needed more space, and then we had this opportunity to move the shop in October 21. After 1 year, roughly, we moved the shop to this place, to Palmoticeva 27, where we have more space. And so the wine are better exposed, and it's easier, and it's in city center. And so this gives the opportunity to develop the selling of the wine, not only the bar side, but the shop side. And so we are developing. We have now, 85% is still natural Serbian wines. We have 8 winemakers, which we consider are the only natural winemakers in Serbia. And also some few foreign wines, some from France, from Slovenia, from Croatia, and also, of course, natural French champagne. But we focus, our main focus is on the Serbian natural wine. Even if we have foreign wines, it's not our main development target. And so it's becoming now a known place. And we have more and more guests. We develop also some event like live music and wine tasting. On regular basis, our winemaker are coming and presenting their wine to our guests. And so we develop the retail and also develop, of course, distribution of the wine to restaurant, bar, wine shop, and so forth. This is the basic, and it's still not a hobby. I can't say that because it's coming more business-minded now, but a pleasure of sharing our love for the wine, the love the winemaker put in the bottle, and we share with the guests coming. That is basically why we exist, still now, after 2 years.
Always surprises me, always sort of takes me aback. You can cover so much of your, life history, really, and your life history related to wine in such a speedy way, and, as you say, because you've lived it yourself. But because I've actually, in nearly 500 episodes, I've never covered Serbia, and I've never covered Serbian wine. So I do want to pick up some of the threads of the story, really. And I think the logical place to kind of take you back to and invite you to explore in a bit more detail is actually where we're sat, which is Belgrade, and I take where you moved to in 2014, and I think this would hopefully be quite fun for you as well. Just ask you to kind of reflect on what have been the big forces for change, really, that you've noticed and you've experienced during your time in Serbia since you moved here in 2014.
First of all, we came here. When we moved in 2014, was just by casualty. Just because the place was nice and we like it, and we moved in. Since we arrived, the place changed a lot. Really, the food, the restaurant offer has been increasing a lot. Quality is much more better. There is really good chef which are promoting the Serbian food, but also with French technique or foreign techniques. So this is already a lot of change. The city itself changed a lot, has been modernized a lot, clean. Atmosphere didn't change so much. Belgrade was, when we moved in, was a 24/7 city, never stop. You could find whatever you needed at any time of the day, of the night. You have supermarket open 24 hours a day. Everything. You can find whatever. You can have breakfast at 2 o'clock in the morning or at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You make your life, and the city is adapted to you.
And was that sort of a certain type of bar and restaurant, or was there a complete offer?
Complete offer was this way. It was also 2014, 2015 was also some kind of movida, like Barcelona in the 90s. There were a lot of DJ coming from any parts of the world coming to play here. They were very strange place, but full of life, full of people, and the people here, they like going out, they like life, and they like to enjoy life.
And was that sort of why you moved here? Was that
no, it was. The atmosphere. The people are very welcome, very, very welcome. You feel home immediately. People are helping you. You need whatever you need. There's always someone who can help you, assist you. The life is nice. You can enjoy it every day. Weather is much more better than Brussels I was living before. I have nothing against Brussels, but I prefer Belgrade. And cost of life, of course, is different, of course. And you can, go out every day at different places, and life night is always full. Everything was, even at that time, we were saying before, all bars and all terraces are full, but it was already the same, even more. Now, it's becoming a bit more European. There is more fancy places and so forth, but food is still great. Rakia was good. I don't drink rakia anymore, but it's still good. And places like our place, and even if there's no other natural wine bar, but you can find natural wine now in other places than our own place. So everything is here to enjoy life. I'm not saying that everyone is happy in Serbia, but the way we do it, we try to share our happiness being here to our guests.
I also want to just capture as well, I guess, my own reflections as well, because I've only been here 3 days. I've been to many other Balkan countries, including a very intense 4 or 5 days traveling around Slovenia, interviewing winemakers there. And it's always been a part of the world, and a part of Europe specifically, that's always been very attractive to me. I think there always seems to be an underlying tradition. When you think about and you look at restaurant menus, and you look at dishes and drinks and the rakia, and there are these things that do seem to be held very dearly, but there also does seem to be a sort of an openness to change as well, and a kind of an openness to foreigners. I've noticed more people coming and wanting to practice English with me, even in the supermarket. Like, people just kind of running over, and love them as I do. I didn't find the same in Spain, for example. I found that people, they were more. We speak Spanish here. They weren't as open, especially talking in front of each other, talking English. But there does seem to be this balance here between tradition and open-mindedness, and I think that, to me, that seems like a really fascinating kind of setup, to start a business in, and to start a different business in, because you're pushing and you're promoting Serbian products, but you're asking people to also come on a bit of a journey with you as well.
Exactly. No, and also going back on the wine, don't forget that in this area, it wasn't called Serbia, it wasn't called Yugoslavia, but they start producing wine 5,000 years ago. Even more. In Fruška Gora, the wine was existing. The Romans at that time, they get the wine from here. So there is a tradition in the wine making, in the wine producing in Serbia, which doesn't exist in all countries. They were doing wine here before France started doing wine. Okay, now of course Italy, Spain, France, they are big on the market, bigger than here, but they still exist. And despite that, a part of the official wineries, conventional wineries mainly, and few natural winemakers, you have a lot of family wineries, which are not on the market, but they produce wine for the family, for the neighbors, for the friends, and you have like that about 30,000 family wineries in Serbia, which is some kind of underground market. And this is our next target, to get these family wineries, not most of them, but a large part of them, they're doing natural wine. Not because they want to do natural wine, it's because, they don't have big production. They don't care. They just do something good, like the father was doing, the grandfather was doing, the usual way. Vineyard, good grape, and good wine process. No need of additive, no need of anything. Just do your wine, because on top of it, they don't produce wine for aging. So the wine production is drunk in the same year. So as they produce their own rakia, they also produce their own wine. So it's a wine country which doesn't drink officially wine. The average wine consumption in Serbia is 15 liters per people per year.
Seems very low.
Yeah. Croatia is 34, and Slovenia is 40 something. France is 70 something, but here it is only 15. They became a beer drinker country while they were used to produce wine for years. It happened that during some time of the history of the country, the quality of the wine decreased a lot, and so people get out of the wine. When I speak with friends, Serbian friends, even Slovenia or in Croatia, they say that when we were young, we were having wine with lemonade, because wine couldn't be drinking. We had to add lemonade in it to be able to drink. And they still have this in mind. Wine is something sweet, not dry. And I keep having guests asking, for sweet wine? I said, yeah, I have dessert wine, but no sweet wine.
Off dry.
Yeah, it's dry, yeah. But in the conventional wine, they keep doing, not sweet, but soft wine. To have this bit flavor, not sugar, but close by. But not in natural. Either you want to do it, so you do it. We have some Botrytis late harvest Pinot Noir, which is slightly sweet, but usually no. It's dry wine.
I like the way the conversation has gone, because I think naturally when you talk about the wine production, it naturally takes you out of the city, of course, and then it also takes you to your history. It takes you to your culture. It takes you to the very root, I think, of how people live and how they have lived before. And I'm freshly back from Georgia, so I'm very aware of that being, sort of recognized as one of the oldest wine producing countries in the world that had its wine production almost completely lost, and that it did sort of survive in secret, and it maybe only survived because the wine was buried. Literally, it was hidden and it was kind of out of sight. And I appreciate that it may well be kind of early in your exploration of those different producers, but is there anything that you might be able to elaborate on in terms of those sort of 30,000 wineries you referred to and the way that people are making, that you think, okay, this might be something interesting that maybe I haven't seen before, or I've tasted something, or there's some spark of something that just excites me really about what the potential could be?
Yeah, I'm exciting on it too. I have no really big knowledge yet. I mean, this is something we decided to move on this year. I mean, a few months ago, I start exploring. I mean, I received some wines. Some are drinkable, some are not. I mean, we have the chance here, as we have a very few natural winemaker. All the wine they do is good, and when it's not good, they don't market it. It's not like the big countries like Italy or France or Spain, or you have a huge production of natural wine, but part of it is not drinkable. It's not because the wine is natural that it should be good. No, it should be good whether it is natural or not. Opposite. And so for that, I mean, we can talk about that soon as I will get enough knowledge on this local production from family winery. But it's really something now I want to move on. I mean, since we open and that the buzz has been created around natural wine, there is few young winemakers now, even they were doing conventional wine, that they think about now going to conversion. There's a lot of vineyard into conversion, which is already the good point, because, 80-90% it's coming from the vineyard. And which will be good for future. And I believe, Serbia, like any other country, wine in the future is natural. Wine in the past was natural. At the beginning of the 20th century, all wine were natural. Then the big, chemical company, they discovered that they could increase, make some powders and increase production, increase quantities and so forth, so it moved too. But even in France, you have a lot of wine which are natural and they don't claim they are natural. Romanée Conti is natural. They don't need to put, because Romanée Conti is bigger than natural wine. So they don't need. Champagne Roederer now moved to organic. A lot of chateaux in Bordeaux, they are also converted to organic or natural. It's, and also the guests, the wine lovers, once they try and they taste it and they realize that this is what they like. All natural wine are not funky. There is funky wine, like there is funky production in any product, but you have very straightforward wine. You have age. The legend that you cannot age a natural wine is also a story, a legend. You can age. I made vertical tasting of French natural wine over the 10 or 15 years. The old vintage was as fresh as the last one. More intense, more complex, because time is good for the wine. Time is only good for the wine either. Nothing else. But anyhow, so all the legends are now falling down. Natural wine are not something funky. It's drinkable every day, and the only thing, no headache on the morning. That's the main point.
Yeah.
But
Depends how much you drink.
But no, you get drunk the same, but you don't have the sulfite headache on the morning.
What we have now, which I think is great, we've got a sense of the history, really, of grape production and wine production, and I think also the way that people enjoy wine and the way that they have it at home, and that there are these wineries that are kind of out there to be discovered, which I think will also be exciting for you to listen back to in 2 or 3 years' time to hear yourself at the start of the journey. What I'd like to do, I think, is start to transition back to where we are, but kind of make the link between that, because you've got in front of you've got the wine list of the bar, and it's divided, which I think is really interesting, by producer. So you've got a whole page almost for Maurer, and then you've got other producers having half a page, a couple of lines depending on their production. And I wonder if you just take us through really, the names of the Serbian producers that you have here, and then also, tell us what you feel or what you remember most when you think about their particular area of production, and when you've visited them and when you've kind of gone to their cellar. What might be sort of a memory for each of these that kind of takes you back there?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, best memory I have is more in the cellar than in the vineyard.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's go through. I mean, as I said, we have few winemakers because there is a very few natural winemaker. I mean, starting with the first page, which is Maurer, Oskar Maurer. Oskar Maurer has 2 places of vineyard. One, the biggest one, is in Fruška Gora, around Sremski Karlovci, where he has his main production. And despite the fact that the cellar is close to Subotica. And he also has a vineyard close to his cellar. I mean, for example, he has the oldest Kadarka vineyard in the world, which is from 1880, and another one from 1912.
What's the vineyard, sorry?
Kadarka. Kadarka is a local grape. Okay. I mean, if you want to make it close to something better known in Western Europe, is kind of Pinot Noir. Okay. But it's really local. I mean, Kadarka exists in Serbia, in Romania, south of Hungary. And this vineyard survived because the ground is sand. And when there were the disease in the early 20s, which destroyed most of the vineyards, these vineyards survived because of the situation they were. Yeah, so he has a few there also, Bakator and Sremska Zelenica, which are local grape too, which he has close to Subotica. But all the other vineyards are in around Sremski Karlovci, which is one of the best places in Fruška Gora. Maurer is producing about 35 or 40,000 bottles a year. Okay. Out of all the wineries we have, is the biggest production. Yeah, and he is the oldest. I mean, he was the first. He's doing natural wine in Serbia for 20 years. The second oldest is Ernest Sagmeister. Ernest Sagmeister has different adventure with different partners, so his vineyard was bigger than smaller. Now, unfortunately, because of the quality he's able to produce, he has only 1.5 or 2 hectares of vineyard. He had 5 before, but he separated with his former partner, so they split the vineyard. And he has his vineyard in Fruška Gora also, in Irig. And he has some specific parcel, like Q, which is stone vineyard, very dry, produce his best wine. He's producing there Furmint and Kadarka. But they are fantastic, but very small quantity. It can go to 400, 500 bottles a year. But also he started long time ago. He learned. I mean, he's not a winemaker by profession. He learned it with some friends, and even he was talking with Oskar Maurer in the past, and then he did it on his own. He has his own cellar in Canica, and he's doing great wine. I mean, he has been selected the best full mint, even in Hungary, where full mint is the basic grape, the best full mint of the year in 2016 and 17. I mean, it's amazing. And he's fully, I mean, like all of them, but really wine lover. He dedicates his life to his grape. I mean, like Oskar is the same, and he is very specific in the harvesting. He's really harvesting the grape at the moment he feels they are really mature to be harvested. And it's one of the best. I mean, they are all one of the best, but there are 7. Okay, to remain in Fruška Gora, then we have Bojan Basha. Bojan Basha start marketing. He's doing wine since 2013. He's in Matej in Fruška Gora also, close to Sremski Karlovci. He is also not a winemaker by profession. He's a winemaker by love. He's a businessman, and instead of building a country house in Matej, he bought and developed his vineyard. He focused at the beginning on 2 grapes, Pinot Grigio and Tamianica. So he started producing in 2013, but he started selling officially as a winemaker last year, with 2 wines, Jantar, which is the Pinot Grigio, and Tamianica. He's, for the moment, focused on developing his vineyard, I mean, putting new grape. He cloned Calarca from... no Calarca. He cloned Prokupac from Kostic, which we'll see before. I mean, people like Oskar or like Sagmeister, they reintroduce local grape which disappear, and they reintroduce. And so when it's good, then the other winemaker, because they talk together, so they clone when they have. So he has now full mint, Morava, Prokupac. And he will increase his production in the coming, but he's not for now. He's producing 10,000 bottles a year. So, and then we have Moritz, also Fruška Gora. He bought some grape from Oskar Maurer, some vineyards, and he's now. I mean, Oskar teach him at the beginning, and now he's producing his own wine. In fact. Moritz is a priest, Calvinist, and he's producing 3 wines, 1 rosé, 1 amber, and 1 red. And the 3 wines get the name of his children. He had 3 children, so 3 wines. Very interesting. I mean, sport production too, and local grape. So going out of this area, Fruška Gora and the north, then Winery Vujic, it's a young winemaker. He should be 30 years old, but it's a family. The vineyard was planted by his grandfather when he get back from the war from Greece. And his vineyard is in Zupa Valley, close to Aleksandrovac, in southwest of Serbia. He's producing Prokupac and Tamianica. And Smederevka now, it's another local grape, and Merlot, small quantity. Also 100% natural. And Oskar Maurer is doing it, and he is doing it in clay, in amphora. And Dayan found, when he was doing work in his vineyard, pieces of old clays from 1,500 years ago. And so he took the pieces and he made the clays according to the Serbian clays. And it's very nice, very nice wines. In the same area, a bit south of Aleksandrovac, in Prokupier, there is Milos Kostic. He's producing only one wine and small quantity. All the bottles are numbered, and he's producing about 1,200 bottles a year. Fantastic vineyard. Very, very, very nice. And he converted to organic, and his Prokupach is one of the best Prokupach with the Vujic one. Completely different, but very, very nice. But very, very small quantity.
What are we talking then for his one wine? Do you know roughly?
He has only one wine, 1,200 bottles a year. And on the way down to Niš, my pronunciation is not good, Razaň, we have Todorovic. Todorovic is the youngest winemaker. He's 25. He took over the vineyard from his father. He has different grape. He has Grašac, what we usually call Italian Riesling. He has Merlot, Tamianica, Zubianka. It's nice. It's nice. He's now in conversion for the vineyard, and slowly he's forgetting sulfite in the wine. He was using a little bit too much in the past years, but now he's moving completely, slowly to zero sulfite. And we forgot Fruška Gora, Bikicki, of course. Bikicki vineyard are located in Banostor. He is producing Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon Blanc, Merlot, Black Tamianica, and Traminac, which we call Gewürztraminer. They call here Traminac. For now, his wine process is done by Oskar Maurer, but I believe soon he will have his own cellar. And his vineyard is in Fruška Gora like the others. So most of the production is in Fruška Gora from all of them. And I think he's producing something like 20,000, 25,000 bottles.
And yeah, I love it. I love that level of kind of virtual tour that we've had, and really I think it feels like it's brought us back to the bar, where we're sat, and we've essentially looked at the wine list, and we looked at the different producers, so we've got a sense of who they are. And therefore the logical place is I've invited you to choose some wines from the list for us just to go into a little bit more depth to talk about, and just to give a sense of what people can find on the wine list here, and what profile of wine and how that sort of shows up in the glass.
We made a small selection just for you to understand what we were talking about before. So we start now with the Sagmeister. Full mint is the Q Full Mint. It's his best parcel. Very small production, as I said before. And you will find whatever we need to find in wine: fruit, body, acidity, and mainly the love Erne Sagmeister put in the process.
And I love that. And I think, you've alluded to it earlier, really. I just think that the term natural wine is outdated, and it's not outdated. It's it tells you something about the wine, and it doesn't tell you anything about the wine. It's like this sort of amorphous term. It's a little bit like, boxing fog. But the reason that I bring that up is because I just think that you serve that to people, you don't tell them that it's natural. It's classic, it's balanced, it's approachable, it's got a lovely freshness. This could, I think, definitely take you through the meal to actually, that kind of salinity that I'm picking up, the minerality, a great food pairing wine, but also just enjoyable, and it doesn't wear its naturalness on its sleeve.
So now we have the Fodor 2020, 15 days maceration, Italian Grashax, Italian Riesling Grashax, nice color, light orange, but again, nice minerality. This vineyard is in Fruška Gora, Sremski Karlovci. Again, fruit and acidity. And despite the maceration, fruit and freshness. And this is a signature of all these winemaker. Every wine bring the freshness with the fruit.
Yeah. And this is so interesting because I just know that there's many people, they would get scared to see the color, because I like the way you describe it as kind of light orange, but I think for a lot of people they can notice that this isn't your average white wine. This isn't a clear wine. It almost looks like a sort of iced tea. That kind of quite sort of pronounced color, and I think that this is a color to sort of excite me if I see them, but I will admit I've tended to see this color coming from wines having much longer macerations of 2, 3, 4 months, which if you have them with only a couple of years of age on them, they're not drinkable. They're so tannic, they're so in your face, and this is not that. This is exactly as you've described there. This is so approachable, it's so interesting, it's got that depth, and always that kind of that savory backbone that I always find in these skin maceration wines, and I absolutely love. And it's approachable by itself, but equally this would be a phenomenal food pairing wine as well.
The problem with maceration, which is long or short, also depend on the grape. You have grape who can afford long maceration, but for this grape, 14 days. It's good enough. Then you will go to kind of compote taste. Too much cooked fruit. Yeah. And then you lose the freshness. It's all depend on the harvest time and short maceration. We even have wine with 2 or 3 days maceration, and it's enough. No more.
Yeah. No, I like it. And again, it did come up in Georgia, and I think it was one of the things that people said of that was, again, a big generalization, but that was sort of a key component of their wines really improving, was the winemakers giving the wines what they needed, not what, I don't know, the recipe book said or what the wisdom said. It was, okay, what does the wine need? What is it telling you that it needs? Does it need more? Does it need less? The time in the Qvevri or time on its skins, what does it need?
Now we are Sagmeister wine, unusual from Sagmeister. First year is producing this kind of Karaka. So Karaka, local grape, one of the most famous grape in Serbia. It's a zero sulfite wine, so no sulfite, no filtering, no clarification, nothing, just straightforward, just fruit, very light red, roughly dark rosé more than light red, only on fruit and minerality, just a fruit juice.
And sorry, the color that we're getting here, I mean, is
Usually, usually Caraca is darker. Even he's doing Caraca, I mean, other Caraca, his Q Caraca is red. I mean, light red, but red. It's the color is unusual.
Yeah.
Even and for him, even more, because this is kind of Caraca Oskar Maurer can do. I mean, he usually do. But from Oskar Maurer is from Ernest Sagmeister is unusual, but it's so good, really.
Yeah. Oh, it's and I asked for the clarification because actually viewed from a particular angle with a with a little bit of the kind of greenery behind it, it actually reminds me of a tawny port almost. It's got this kind of. Yeah, as you say, that kind of light red, deep rosé color, but it's also got something else. It's got something almost like a browny tinge to it. But it's just, as you say, this is just dangerous. A word we use as a complete compliment is smashable. This is one of those wines. Again, you can just enjoy. You can just enjoy the fruit, enjoy the refreshing nature of it, and this is not in any way challenging, but it's just alive and just super delicious.
Okay, now I mean the last we go to red now. I mean one of the most famous red grape in Serbia, Prokupac, from two different winemakers. They are more or less same age. One is Kostic from Prokupier, which is a very small producer. As I said before, he's producing 1,200 bottles a year. And the other one is Winery Vujic, Winery Vujic Winery is Aleksandrovac, Župa Valley. Same grape. One is, how do you call it, bush wine, completely. This vineyard is 35% incline, limestone a lot, and stone only for Kostic. So we will find in both the fruit and the freshness, but they are completely different. One is wild, this one, Gmitar. This is more usual, but also unusual because here, Prokupac usually is a very full body and strong tannin wine. And here you have silky tannin and fruit and freshness, which is unusual for this grape in Serbia.
Yeah, this is a cracking way to end the tasting because exactly as you've just said there, they're two very different examples of Prokupac. And I think it's just something to bear in mind if you've had Prokupac before and you've had something that is more tannic and is more powerful, then, these are, I think, two very approachable but different examples here. Just looking at the Instagram of both the producers and, I think these older vines, the bush vines, the wild vines that we've got in the Vujic wine is producing something lighter, less tannin, but I think moving towards that kind of depth of flavor and depth of aroma. Whereas certainly the Kostic, it certainly kind of wears its power a bit more on its sleeve. You can definitely taste the concentration, I would say, here. But I think the key thing of this last wine, and maybe one to just talk about with all of the wines that we've tried, is just that drinkability. It's interesting. You take me back to actually Copenhagen and a conversation I had with Solfin Danielson over there, and he only ever asked his guests two questions. He asked them first, did you like it? That was his most important question. But his second question was, do you want another glass? So, sometimes people, they may not like or they may not understand at the first pass, but they think, okay, actually, I want to try again. I want to try and understand this. I want to explore a bit more. I want to, maybe try and assimilate what I've now learned about the wine, and I want to explore and look some more in it. But I think that, first and foremost, these wines have all been so drinkable, so approachable, but yeah, equally, each telling a different story of the grape, the producer, the region, which I think is, still, for me, the most interesting thing about wine. It transports us to another time and place. Yeah, Raphael, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this evening. It's been great just, sitting out with you here, enjoying the vibe and enjoying the wines, and yeah, getting that kind of virtual tour really of Serbia, of your business, of your life here, which is so fascinating. And I always like to just ground the conversation, right where we are now, June 2022. And yeah, based on anything we've spoken about or anything else that you kind of, you've got in the works, I'm just curious, what is sort of, what are you looking forward to really as we look ahead either to the rest of the year or slightly further into the future as you kind of continue your adventure in Serbian natural wine and in the wine business here in Belgrade?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, Lawrence, for coming. And I hope you enjoyed. With my small knowledge of the Serbian wine, natural, of course, I hope the tour we did together give you a big, nice picture of what is happening in Serbia on the natural wine development. The only thing I would like now is to share as much as I can my love for natural wine, for natural Serbian wine, and to get my winemaker friend as much as possible happy of what we are doing here, and to keep on promoting. And eventually try a way to get those wine on nice French restaurant table in France, because France is the target. It's where the competition with natural wine is the highest. And the French wine lover are the most complicated one. So if we can convince them, we can convince the whole world.
A huge thanks to Raphael Dayan of Organski Podrum for your time. I'm sure this episode will be a wonderful introduction to Serbian natural wine for many people around the world. Do please visit organskipodrum.com, where you can learn more about the wine bar and the incredible Serbian producers. Please help to amplify this episode by sharing the direct link to anyone you think might be interested, which is interpretingwine.com/475. And of course, I'd love to have you following along with me on social media, where I'm at Interpreting Wine on Instagram and Facebook, at Wine Podcast on Twitter, and email hello@interpretingwine.com. See you next time.